Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. If it is your first time here, you're really welcome. I hope that you enjoy it. So it's the very end of May and finally the weather has started to turn. I'm so grateful. It's a gorgeous warm day today and a really lovely day for being at the plot. So I am here at the plot in the park and I'm just going to start by showing you a quick tour of where we're up to right now. So we are here at the plot in the park. I'm sure you can hear all those birds singing from the trees. So I just thought I'd give you a quick tour, just to let you know how we're getting on. So yeah, the rhubarb, I am still picking from it, but it is coming towards like the end of its time. I've probably only got maybe one pick left from it, and then I will leave it to put all its energy back into its base, ready for me to split it in the autumn. At the back over there where the wildlife section is, I've been slowly making my way along the edge and piling up tons of wood chip to try and reduce the amount of weed pressure coming through. It's kind of going okay, but it does feel a bit like one of those tasks that will never end. So the potatoes have come up, and I'm sure you can see from the screen that the ones that are nearest that wildlife edge are a lot smaller than the ones at the front, and I think that's probably just about nutrients really, and probably access to water. There's like ground down elder, there's brambles back there, there's wild roses, there's nettles, there's tons of things. I mean, some of those things I can use for fertilizer, so they're not all bad, but it does mean that in particular at this end here, my potatoes are really tiny, so I will try to be feeding them and see how we get on with that. And we've had a few issues here with birds. So particularly this bed where I planted the spinach, it has got netting on it now, but it didn't have netting for a little while. And yeah, it's been decimated. So I'm going to clear this and replace it with some lettuce that I've got that I started at home, as well as probably direct planting some pak choi and see how that goes. I am, however, very happy that my parsnips have all come up. They are quite slow growing, and I do need to do a little bit of weeding in this bed, but generally I'm pretty happy with that actually. They're coming up. I'm hoping that they will do better in this bed than they did in the other one last year, because they got too much leaf fall in the autumn and I struggled getting them out. I've built a new massive cage around this double bed. I had the same issues as I had with the spinach, in that lots of my vegetables got munched by birds. Yeah, it wasn't great. Sorry, I know that picture's not brilliant either, is it? It's just because I'm about to walk into the shade of the tree, so the camera's struggling to adjust to the massive difference between the two. Yeah, let's go around this side. This might be easier. Okay, there you go. So yeah, the peas that I planted also got decimated by birds. The only things they didn't really eat were the red lettuces, which I think might just be because they probably don't see colours the same and so didn't know they were edible. So I guess I could just grow red lettuces, but instead I've put a cage around it. The cage is much bigger than is needed for lettuce, because I'm going to grow kale here in the autumn. So I figured if I was going to put the cage up, I may as well just do it the one time and not have to come back to it later. So my broad beans, they are finally flowering. They're actually doing really well in this spot, so I'm really pleased about that actually. Yeah, they're looking lovely. I'm hoping that we will get some pods on them soon. I mean, it's like the very end of May, so they are much slower than last year, but at the same time, I know that they'll get there in the end, and eventually we'll be able to harvest something. For me, the start of this season, I have to say, has been a bit disappointing, between sort of like poor germination, the bad weather, the birds eating most of my crops. It has felt like a little bit of a washout, but I am trying to stay positive, and you know, sometimes stuff goes wrong in the garden. That's just really, really normal actually, isn't it? I am a bit disappointed though at the lack of sort of like green leafy vegetables that I haven't been able to harvest anything so far. But that is mostly my own fault. I just completely forgot about the fact that obviously the birds were going to eat everything, because that's what they do every year. That's what happened last year as well. And I just really didn't remember at all. I totally forgot to put up any hoops or nets. And so this is where we are now. I am going to be planting out a couple of things today. I've got some Lollo Rosso lettuce that I'm going to put in the bed where the spinach was. Once I've cleared that, I think I'm also going to put some pak choy and maybe some fennel in that bed as well. But I'm going to direct sow those because now that it's netted, in fairness, it should be totally fine. The seedlings will be pretty safe, at least from birds anyway. And I will, though, need to come and water them pretty regularly over the next couple of weeks, because here it is meant to be lovely warm weather for the next 2 weeks, but with no rain. So I do want to make sure that they've got every opportunity to grow and to thrive. As I said in the tour, I have built a very large cage which currently just has really tiny lettuces in. So I'm going to replant my peas, which were also completely eaten by the birds. I mean, they've literally just got stalks left. So I'm going to direct sow them, and I'm hoping that because it's netted, they will stay quite safe for seedlings, and they'll grow quite quickly now, and I'll be able to pick from them in a couple of weeks. The peas that I sowed at home 2 weeks ago are shot at brilliantly and been absolutely fine. I think the weather really has played a bit of havoc this year with sort of the different things that I've been growing. So I'm hoping putting them outside straight in the ground, as long as they're well protected and I water them regularly, that they should be okay, and I'll be able to get some pea shoots, which are one of my favourite things to have in salads. So I'm hoping that that will work out. Most of those lettuces will grow back because the heart of the lettuce was fine. So they are mostly sending up new leaves, although I may well lose a couple of them. So there might be some that I do need to take out, but generally I'm pretty happy with it. It's, you know, it'll just be longer than I was hoping for in terms of being able to harvest. And because I'm going to grow some kales over the autumn, as I said before, I have built a rather large cage for them. So I'm growing red Russian kale, which doesn't grow very big, but I'm growing Nero di Toscana, which I grew last year, and that does grow quite tall. And in fact, the flexible hoops that I actually do have, they were way too tall for those. It didn't work at all, and so I want to keep them protected from birds, so particularly here I think. And then what's the other one? Oh, and I'm growing a green curly kale, but again, it's actually a tall variety, not a dwarf, so I want to make sure that those have all got enough space to grow and hopefully to stay well protected. So I've built that cage out of road spikes that I've put in the corners and in between, and then I've crossed them with some bamboo. I've put toppers on them as well, crossed them with bamboo, and then used cable ties to keep them in place. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that actually. I wasn't really sure how it was going to work out. It was just, you know, one of those ideas where you're like, well, I'll try it and see, but actually it seems pretty good. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that too. I do still have one empty bed here at this allotment, and I'm not entirely certain what I'm going to put in it yet. I've got some Swiss chard at home, so I could possibly pop that in it, but I haven't really like 100% decided, because I also thought I might try some dwarf French beans. I don't know how well they'll do, because I'm not certain that they will get enough sunshine to sort of really thrive, but I mean, you never know, do you, until you try. So I might do both, to be honest. I might put in some chard and some green beans and, you know, see what works, see what doesn't. Trying to find things that are happy with the shade is particularly, yeah, it can be a bit of hard work. So like even today, when it is a gloriously sunny day, the rest of the allotment site is sort of like totally full of sunshine, and I've mostly got dapple shade and a tiny slot of sun. and it's, what's the time? It's like 11:30 in the morning. But it won't get better later on in the afternoon. Yeah, I've got sun from maybe 11 o'clock until, like direct sun from maybe 11 o'clock until maybe 1 at the height of summer. And then we're back into dapple shade. And in some spaces, like here, in fact, full shade. So really having to think carefully about what to pick to put in here in order for it to do well. The nice thing, of course, is that leafy greens totally love being in the shade. They grow really well. They really don't need very much sun. I think on most packets it says they need about 4 hours, but I've not actually found that to be true. They grow really well without that. And I think last year I grew beetroot and I grew carrots, and they were also okay. They weren't massive, but they were still good. So we'll see what I think of to put in there next. So the other thing I'm going to be doing today is planting out some flowers. So I've grown some nasturtium from seeds, and I'm going to be actually putting them in this bed behind me between the two beds. There's a tiny little space, and I'm hoping that they'll do okay there, although there's not a huge amount of sun. And I'm probably going to put some at the other end of the allotment as well, just to brighten it up a bit really, and obviously to encourage those bees and butterflies to come and pollinate things for me as well. The nice thing is that I do have I've got a really big comfrey plant, which is currently in full flower and entirely covered in bees, which is really, really wonderful. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, press that subscribe button so that you get notified of any new videos that come out. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Have a great day wherever you are. I hope the sun is shining. And yeah, have fun. I'll see you next time.